So next talk is by P90X, aka X90. A talk on Intro to Qubes OS.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm X90, aka P90X. This is my talk, Intro to Qubes OS. So how is Qubes OS different? Everything is a virtual machine, right? So you have different options on the things that you're doing. Every VM is isolated from each other. So basically, one VM does not share the files from another VM unless you allow it to copy. Some are disposable, so meaning they only execute once, and then once you turn them off, they lose all the data and they lose everything. So if you save anything there, you're not going to see it again, which is really good for doing experiments and things like that, and then trying it out on an app VM, which I'll show you later. We also have vaults. So basically, these VMs have no network connectivity whatsoever, and you can utilize them for saving documents, exploring documents, reverse engineering documents or files. Also with Qubes networking, we're going to see you can do amazing things like have multiple exit nodes all under one machine. VMs don't share your hardware, so basically your mic, your PCIe devices, your USB controllers, all that is separate. You have to give it permission for it to actually be able to use it. That also helps us against malicious attack like malicious USBs, bad USBs, and good old rubber duckies. So types of VMs and Qubes. First, we got our template VMs, which we can have for Fedora 34, Debian 11, the Unix Gateway, and the Unix Workstation. We have app VMs, where you can set them up with a shared root file system. Some of them have separate storage from home. And install or update software from the template VM. So whenever you want to install an application, if you install it on the template VM, once you boot up the app VM, it will have that application. But if you install it on the app VM, let's say for testing, and you shut down that app VM, it loses all of that. Also, you have standalone VMs, also called HVMs as well. Just like installing a normal ISO to any other VM. So let me show you how that looks. So here we go. This is Qubes OS. This is how it looks. Up here, we have our regular XFCE GUI with the log string, accessible hard drives, all the VMs that are running with the RAM, amount of RAM and CPU usage. Also, we have our manager down here. With the manager, here we can see all the VMs that are running, and we can also see all of the different templates that we can execute. We have Debian, Fedora, like we said earlier. We got Kali, which is a custom VM. Then we have our clipboard. This is our updater, so you can launch your updates from here. We're not going to do that now. Let me close that there. Battery, which I took off. Devices. These are all of your devices. This is your, as you can see, these are different hard drives that I have connected to the Qubes machine. Then I got to tell it exactly where do I want it. Do I want it on my CrowdStrike VM? Do I want it on my Discord? Do I want it on my disposable? Do I want it on my pen testing, my personal? And all separate domains that don't communicate with each other, which we'll see soon. Then we have our microphone. The microphone is not connected, so you have to actually tell it where it's connected. And then we have our USB devices, our keyboard, our USB receiver, our hard drive, this too, and here we go. And then we have our networking, which is normal. Then we have our Unix. This is for Tor. So here you control the Tor panel and everything is isolated, so you don't have to worry. Our volume, our date, and then our workspaces. So let me close this up and show you guys how this works. So let's say let's go to personal, and I want the files from personal. And let's go and let's open documents from our CrowdStrike VM on terminal. Let's say I found an interesting document that I have to email, right? So let's do tush email.md. Now we have that file to send. This is one way you can send a file between domains, is I can do QVM copy to VM email MD. Now it gave me an error because I didn't specify where I was going to send it. So I got to tell it where. I'm going to tell it personal. And then it's going to give me this dialog here. And it's telling me the source that it's coming from and the target. I'm going to say personal. There it is. And I press OK. Now I see a folder called Qubes Incoming. And I see CrowdStrike. And I see email. And as you can see, if I were to open another domain, let's say Discord, look at the files in Discord, these files are not shared by them. So this gives security by isolation, by isolating all your domains. Let's go to home. Let's delete the Qubes Incoming. Or let's, you know what, let's move this to, move to another app VM. This is another way you can do it, by right clicking on it. And then we tell it, I want it in Discord. Oh, if I can spell, there we go, Discord. Okay, and now we have that folder, Qubes Incoming personal. And we got, there it is, the email MD file. Now let's clean up here. Just let me delete it. Go to trash, empty. Now that we have that there, let me show you. And within personal, or you know what? There are different types of VMs. So let's go disposable VM here with Fedora. Just give it a second. As you can see, it says that you have your disposables, you have your cubes, you have your services, and then you have your templates within the drop-down menu. Now that we have our disposable VM, let's go to exploit DB. And then let's go to papers. Let's go to papers. So we know we're downloading papers from hackers, right? So we don't trust it. So let's just download the first one. Okay, let's save this. Save the paper on downloads. Save, completed. So we see that Firefox automatically opened it. So let's close it. And now we lost it. As the computer is completely clean. But let's say we want to keep it. Just give it a second. Disposable started again. Okay, so let's go again to exploit DB. Let's go to papers. Now let's download the same paper, but this time we're going to keep it, right? So how do we do that? First, we open our DOM0, which is our main system, where you don't want anything to be installed. And we do qvm run this for disposable. We put the number, which is 8083. And then we tell it we want a GNOME terminal, right? Now we have a disposable terminal where you can SSH anywhere, do anything, and not worry about the stuff. But let's go to our downloads, right? And let's say downloads, CD downloads. We never saved it. Let's save it. Save to downloads. We do ls. Okay, now we have this paper, right? So we do the same thing. We can move it, qvm. Let's do move to VM, call it personal because I want to send this to my boss about this amazing paper. And then I'm going to go into personal again. And now there it is, right? So let's go back and find our personal. And let's go to files. We go to Qubes incoming. There it is, disposable 8030. But what happens? I'm not going to open that, right? So let's convert this to a trusted PDF. Now Qubes is taking every single link out of it. It's taking everything and making it flat images. So let's give that a second. You can also do just give it a second. So now we see that it says paper trusted PDF. So now we can open this PDF and we can go through it. And as we can see, if it had any web links, they're not accessible. So nothing can happen, just to keep it on the security side. Now, let's go back. Let's do the Windows, right? How about Windows, right? So let's close this here. There's limited support with Windows, but there is support. Another cool thing you can do, let's say you're in an engagement, not personalized. Let's go to you change the display options to the size of your screen. In my case will be 1080. I want to keep changes. You put it in here, you right click, you select full screen. And now you have a full screen of Windows. So you could go to any engagement with a full screen. They think it's Windows, and boom, you actually have Linux. Now, let's talk about networking a little bit. This is what it kind of looks as a day-to-day to me. So I have my Discord on my VPN West. I have another Discord which I use that goes through the firewall with my normal IP. I have CrowdStrike, and I have a personal. Then I have Unix. Then I have running IRCs through SASL. Then I have my darknet investigative research. And then here's my VPN, my research VPN. And this VPN, the VPN they all have different exit nodes. They have different IP addresses. So it allows you to be able to be in multiple locations at once. For example, you can be attacking with the VPN West and then controlling your C2 with the VPN East, and so forth. So let's see how that looks. So let's say here, so I'm going to open disposables for this. I have one. I'm going to open another disposable. I got two. And I'm going to do a Unix disposable so we can search the darknet. give this a second while it boots up. Here's one. Right. Here's two. So this you can do with, what I'm about to do, you can do with any app VM. And here's the Unix, right? Let me close this, make it smaller. Okay, here we go. So how do we do this? We go and we open our Qubes manager, and we tell it, okay, let's get our disposables into search, right? We have our 3 disposables here, and we can see they're all connected through the firewall, right? So let's say I want disposable, let's go back. We have 87, 74, 56, 53, 56, right? So we got 87, 74 right here. Right click, we go network, and I say I want to come from the east of the United States, say yes. 9439, I'm going to go west, say yes. Then find my Unix, which is already connected, but I can search it just to make sure. There it is. So here we go. So if I go moment of truth, I go IP check. I have this browser connected through 107. ipinfo.io. Oops, there it is. Didn't. So this was coming from New Jersey. This 55356. So IP, let's see, 5356. Let's do that for West. Yes. So here we go, ipinfo.io. So we can see this is coming from Arizona. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if you guys can see this. We got 3 different IP locations from one system. So there's a lot that we can do with this. We can create all kinds of things in Havoc. Let's go back to the Prez. Also, here's my CrowdStrike, which is connected through my separate IP. And you can see here, I can come in here and go netstat and verify. There it is. So let's say I wanted to copy something from here. So let's say I want to take this right here. This looks weird. Established. What is this? So the way you copy paste between places is as follows. You do Control-C to copy, Control-Shift-C. It goes up to the global clipboard. You find your VM that you want to paste to. So let's paste it here. Control-Shift-V goes to paste from global clipboard, then Control-V, and there it is. But we just copied. Now we can search it. All right, so next slide. How to hack Qubes. So you can do a client-side exploit through a browser or PDF, a file, anything that's vulnerable and within that, but then they have to then escape that to be able to go to DOM0 and execute arbitrary code. That's the way that you can hack Qubes. but you have these layers you have to go through. Statistics, total span of 11 years. There's been 383 XSAs published, which is a Zen security advisory. Only 86 of those have affected Qubes but has been patched. So there's a total of 22% of all the Zen advisories. In today's world, we have over 50,000 Qubes OS users and growing. And if you haven't needed to use this, let me know. I can help you with that as well. So what you can't do with Qubes, there's no 3D acceleration until the GUI VM that they're working on right now. Windows support, it is limited, but doable. You have macOS and Androids are not supported. No Bluetooth, but you can work fine without that. You can use a USB adapter. I've done that and it works fine. I use the Ubertooth and it works fine. A lot of command line stuff if you're required to do a lot of custom things like binding directories and things like that. Sometimes buggies, but it does work. It doesn't work at low-end hardware. So if you have 8 gigs of RAM or a minimum of 16 gigs is recommended, 32 if you can, 64 even better. There's also a compatibility list at qubes-os.org HCL, so you can check beforehand before you install Qubes OS. But I also recommend you install it on a USB and then go from there and seeing what can work for you. So infinite possibilities, right? Unlimited sock puppets, unlimited exit nodes, disposable VMs for risky operations through SSH, web, whatever it is that you want to do. It has security by isolation. It's not a monolithic kernel, so it doesn't take one vector to take over the whole system. It takes a severity of steps. You can debug your VM with libvmi. If you're interested in knowing more about that, contact me later. You can convert any PDF to trusted PDF, and ability to virtualize ZOS S390X architecture, which is great if you're into mainframe computing and stuff like that. And there's a lot more. So this is me. I am XNOPX90. You can contact me here. You can scan the QR code. And this is it. Open for questions. Oh, special thanks to Michael Lee and Potatcat for helping with the presentation, and everybody at the Foot Clan Discord server.
All right, so there are some questions. So the first question we have is, can Qubes OS play Doom? This is from White Cyberduck.
There is no 3D acceleration. I don't know, but I will be willing to test that with you. We can definitely try it. I have not tried. No, I don't know.
Next thing, what are the downsides to Qubes OS? Is this our next big business system, or is this too complicated to be introduced in typical workplace environments? From InfoSec Axiom.
The downsides of Qubes OS, it does take a learning curve to get used to the workflow, but once you get that, you'll be fine. The other downside is if you're trying to use this for like every day for everything, it does not do everything right now. So you can't play games or the things of that nature that require a GPU because of the different things they're working on. But they're working on a GUI VM that's going to be able to allow you to do PCI pass-through and do all those things.
Cool. Cybertech Vibes, could you pass the target name and or IP address in the terminal command?
Yes, you can. But you have to edit the IP table so you can get reverse shells and things like that and allowing stuff to happen. Because if I can show you, let me change screens again. Computers, give me 1 second.
Go for it.
If you were to take here we go. So let's say a disposable VM, right? That's what we're talking about. So let's go, let's run it, 5356. So if you go IP tables, right? Sudo IP tables, you can see that it's gonna drop a lot of stuff. but you have to allow it to happen. And yes, you can do all this from basically a disposable terminal as well.
Can you make a Windows VM within Qubes OS?
Can you make a Windows VM with? Yes. No, you cannot make a Windows VM. It's a type 1 hypervisor. Wait, can you make a Windows VM within Qubes OS? I showed that. Yes, you can. You cannot make a Qubes OS VM within Windows.
Okay. Yoda Dog, how are network nicks handled? Can domains have their own? Can VMs in a domain spawn one?
Yes, they can. You have a, here, let me show you. Let me show you Yoda Dog. So if I were to go here and type sysnet, right? This is my network VM. So here I have my devices. Here I have my Ethernet controller, but I actually attached a USB Ethernet adapter as well. But here you can literally, if you have like a Wi-Fi card or anything, you can have your own separate Wi-Fi net, so you can have it isolated as well. They don't have to live in the same system. Next question, I guess.
Will Qubes OS keep my feed pics safe from hackers? From White Cyberduck.
Everything is hackable. Everything is broken. So I don't think your feet are safe.
Let's see. Also, serious question: is Qubes OS open source? From Cybertech Vibes.
Yes, Qubes OS is open source.
Let's see, I feel like I skipped a question. Oh, Valuable. Can I customize the Windows image instead of a stock Windows VM?
Yes, you can. Let me show you how to do that. Here, let's go. Let me close all this stuff here. Close tabs. So to create an ISO, you do as follows. The easy way to do it, open your Qubes manager, add a new Qubes, right? Let's call this Tiny Core from Tiny Core Linux. I'm going to change the color, black being the safest and red being untrusted. So I'm going to put a gray. Go to standalone under type, select none on template, select your network of choice. So I'm going to choose VPN center. Make sure all the settings are selected correctly and select and go OK. It's going to ask you what ISO would you like to use. I have them under this VM called ISO, Qubes called ISO, core, OK. And it should take a second. It's Tiny Core Linux if you guys are interested. It's like a 16 megabyte ISO, the smallest one they have. So here is your ISO. Just give it a second. And there it is.
Cybertech Vibes. This tool seems like it will trump all other licensed competitors. How intensive is it on the hardware, and can this operating system be used virtually?
It's pretty intense in the hardware, but you can basically slowly give them VMs as much power as they need. So you don't want to be overpowering your VMs or Qubes just because it's just gonna really mess up your stuff. So when you go under settings, You go to under advanced, let's say number of VPUs and number of RAM. And you can set that depending on what you're using and how you're using it. Also, no, this operating system is a type 1 hypervisor, so it connects to everything directly. So unfortunately, you cannot.
Is there anything in development that might be a successor to Qubes or any major forks?
Not that I am aware of. There was one that I don't remember the name right now, but I haven't heard anything from them. So no, yeah, there's a beta branch that you can test out the latest cubes, so you can get the GUI VM and all that stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you, P90X. That's good.
Welcome.
Thank you for being the last talk of OnlyFeet Con.